So one of the magic things about ReSeller that is kind of invisible is that I built ReSeller out of my own experience and my own frustrations, and a lot of people say that, and it's true, but there was something more with ReSeller in the background, that I always wanted to build software that could teach you or help you learn how to resell. And it seemed like a lofty goal, and it's taken a long time to understand the subtleties of what that means, and where ReSeller is now actually does that. And it's really kind of cool, but it's also very sublime or subtle in that ReSeller gives you 3 key numbers for every search. It'll give you a list price, and then it will give you from that a buy price, and it will give you also a payout amount. And those numbers are set so that the buy price is the maximum price you should ever pay. That's the max. You should never go above that price. If you don't go above that price, if you sit that price or below, if it says, hey, buy it at $18, but you're getting it for $5, that's great. But if you bought it at 18 and sold it at the list price number, you will pay back your money for your cost of goods sold, and you will double that in your hand. So if you pay $10, you'll get $10 for your cost of goods sold, and you'll have an extra $10 after all fees, after everything's done. You'll have $10 to use or spend or reinvest, but it's set up to be very simple. And the interesting thing about that is when you have those numbers, unlike other services that just say, here's what it's selling for, here's what it's selling for, you don't have any way to learn, like, okay, that's great, but how much should I be paying? What are the proper margins after all fees? And ReSeller accounts for a 30% fee structure. And we can talk about that another time. That seems really high to new sellers. And you say, well, the final value fee is X. And I've made other videos about the fee structure that explains this in great detail, so I'm not going to spend time here talking about it. But we account for a 30% fee structure. So you're doubling your money with a 30% fee structure. It accounts for shipping being net neutral, so you're not making any money on shipping. So the reality is, it's a very comfortable place. It gives you margin to drop your price, because you might be coming in at under 30% of a fee structure for that particular sale. And you might also still be making $1 or $2 on shipping, which would, adjust those numbers a lot. And it also doesn't account for what you're promoting. So if you promote a bunch, there's not much we can do there. But that 30% does bank in a few percentage points for promotion. So that's why it's so high, because it's a comfortably safe place to count on your fee structure and how much you'll lose for your fee structure. So again, using ReSeller, you'll get the buy price, the list price, and the payout amount. And with that, you can start to actually learn, like, okay, I really shouldn't be paying $10 for a mug that sells for 18, right? Or whatever those numbers are. And the reason that's important is because so many sellers work on a path of saying, like, I shop really cheap. I only pay $1. I only pay $0.25. I only go to the bins. And so your COGS are so low that you really don't care too much about what I'm talking about, right? Like doubling your money. If it sells, you're going to make, quintuple, 10x, 20x your money, right? And you're really excited. And that's great, as long as you can still find good items sourcing at those prices. What you'll never really learn, because you can only learn from doing this stuff, is if I wanted to spend $6, is that too much? And, start to really expand beyond just the I only pay $0.25 or $1, but it'll help you learn and train your eye so that you can look at items and be like, oh, wow, okay, that's selling for $180 and they want, $30. That's a go. Or even tighter. And listen, the really cheap stuff is an easy win, right? You know whether to get it or not. And the wildly valuable stuff is also an easy win, but it's that huge fat middle, like 75%, 70% middle, that is like, I don't know. I don't know how much I should pay. I'm not sure if it's going to be profitable, right? And so there's this like huge area that you as a seller, because of the model you're working under, you never go after that huge middle because you're just unsure. But if you're using reseller and you're constantly seeing on every comp the buy, list, and payout amounts with safe margins, and you know where you're operating, and by the way, that price that puts you like slightly above middle, almost always on the list price. So you're in the middle of the pack. You're going to probably end up discounting it some anyways. And so that's another reason for like trying to give you that space so that you can actually get 100% ROI. You get your COGS paid back, and you get the price of your COGS in your pocket after all fees and everything's done. So reseller teaches you slowly, and it helps you understand by saying like, here's a list price, here's an associated buy price that makes profit. Learn, pay attention every time you do it. And if you look up books and other things, one category a bunch, you'll quickly see like, oh wow, mugs should only be, I should only be, in my area, I should only be paying like $1, $2, whatever it is, right? But you start to learn the value of things because you're seeing the value, not just the price, not just the, hey, it's selling for this on eBay. Yeah, that's great. And I can go on and on and on about solds as well. Like people say, oh, we just price from solds. Again, solds, it is an indicator, but it's an indicator of eBay's sales velocity on that search item. It's not an indicator of your sell-through rate. It's not an indicator of your success. It just proves that eBay as a marketplace is selling said item. And that does help. But what it doesn't do is, you see it's $40. You have no idea where you sit in the market. You're like, oh, I'll sell mine for 40 because that must be where it is. Really? Do you really know that? Did you look at every single sold? Did you look at the age of the listings? Did you look at what the marketplace will bear right now? Because you should, and you can't do it on other apps, but in reseller you can see the currently listed marketplace and say, okay, it's suggesting I price here, which puts me in like a healthy place for price competition. But if I want to be the lowest, I'm going to have to come way, way down, and I have to buy it way, way cheaper. And I don't suggest you ever start out being the lowest or the highest. I think you should start in the middle of the pack based off of like your aggression level, and that can be lower middle or upper middle or middle, but you need to start there because a lot of listings sell just because of SEO and visibility. And so pricing really, really low is often leaving money on the table. The bigger mistake, pricing really, really high, and you'll see it in reseller. The ones that are priced high have been listed for 1,000 days, 2,000 days, 3,000 days, and that's crazy. So reseller is teaching you as you use it to become a better evaluator of the items that you're comping. Don't just get a comp and not learn anything. You get a comp, you're like, okay, here's some solds. And again, solds is not the way, but that's another video also. You're comping and you're just seeing like, okay, here's some pricing. That's great. Here's some things on sold, but you really don't learn anything. You don't know how much you should be paying for it. And again, you're on I only pay a quarter model, so you don't care. But you're never going to grow as a seller beyond that I only pay a quarter model if you don't start to train your eye on how to evaluate everything you're coming across, from a list price, from a buy price, from a profitability, understanding the payout from these things, understanding why it's worth listing things that are $40 or more because of the 40-cent payout on every sale. Like there's just, or fee, 40-cent fee. There's just a lot of things that you're subtly learning with reseller. And listen, is it going to make you an overnight guru? No, but no software will. You got to do the work in reselling. You've got to work, and you got to grind, and you got to look up stuff, and you got to find your areas. You got to look at your geography. What can I get? What can I sell? How do I differentiate? All of that. But it starts with understanding and training your eye to be like, this widget in my hand has value. I've looked it up. And by the way, reseller will also tell you how many total listings there are. You can talk about that for a minute. Like, let's look at a couple of examples. Lululemon leggings. This came up just the other day in a conversation I was having with somebody, and they were like, should I list these? I can get them for $10 a pair. And the comments on it were just all about price. Oh my gosh, I'd never pay that much, or oh, I don't know, or Lulu doesn't sell for me. No one, not anyone in this group, hundreds of comments, not one comment about the marketplace, because nobody can see it because they're not using Reseller. And if they'd pulled it up like I did and searched Lululemon leggings, women's, and a couple other different searches, they would see that there are 14,636 listings. Now, I personally don't want to get involved with any product that has 14,000 listings plus, unless it is some amazing thing that the market is bearing that many sales. But it's not, because there wouldn't be that many listings. And so that, to me, 14,000, what did I say, 636, I think it was. That's like 14,000 listings too many for me to want to get involved. Right off the bat. I don't care what the price is. I think it's going to sit and sit. The competition is going to be high, which means I have to promote higher, which means my margins go down, and that money's going to sit. I don't want that. So no. Who cares what the price is and who cares what the buy price is? I don't care, but you didn't see that because you couldn't, and you didn't. So, buy your Lululemon leggings and join the other, probably by now, 15,000 other listings that are listed on eBay for that. But you can't see that on eBay well, and you can't see it in other software well. And go look at the solds and get excited, and you're getting them for a price, and put them up, and then you'll sit there and wonder why you're not making any money, and you'll blame eBay. And it's just the pattern that we all do, because you're so confident in the solds, but you never check the market, and you never really know your own store sell-through rate, your own store's velocity. You have no way to check any of your assumptions about that buy. None. And it's crazy to me. And then people are like, come at me for saying, like, you should look at the marketplace and look at currently listed, more than sold. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Reseller does a lot of things for you, and we're only getting started. And right off the bat, you'll be a better seller as soon as you start using it. All right, enough on this topic.